Welcome back. So in this video I'm going to show you how to create forms in our page, and you can create forms without creating the labels. In the previous video we were using labels to create forms, so in here we will not be using labels, and it is quite simple compared to the other one. So you just need to create an input input type. You specify the data type that you want to input in the field. It can be numbers or letters. So in HTML use text for characters and numbers for numerical data, or email specified for email information. So here let's say text, and the name here, let's say the name here is name. And now when you want to show the user what data you want to be input in this form, you'll have to create a placeholder. A placeholder writes an example of what need to be placed in the field. So let's do that. Placeholder. And the placeholder, you can either tell him you want him to input first name, or you can give an example of a name on the form. Let's see how that one happens. And you can see here it is directing the user to input first name. When the user inputs in their data, this placeholder here disappears, and you can see, let's say John, and you can see the placeholder has disappeared. Or you can even give an example of a name here. Let's say Joe. Save, refresh, and you can see the example here is Joe. And if the author enters a name like Peter or Mary, you can see our placeholder has disappeared. Our next input here will be, let's first create a button, and the button is submit, or button type is a submit button. Let's call it submit, and save and refresh. You can see we have a button here. So our next input after that, let's create a div for that. And our next input here will be the email. So just create input type. The type of the text that you want to be entered here is email, and the name here is email. Then create a placeholder. In the placeholder, you can give the user an example of an email to give them the direction, or you just type enter your email. So I prefer using an email example. Let's use and refresh. And you can see it is giving an example of an email in this field here. So the user will automatically know that in this field is where they are required to enter in their email. Let's create some spacing in between. And you have seen how the placeholder element works in a form, and you require very few lines of code, a single line, to create that instead of using the label tag or the for element. So let's say it is a compulsory requirement that your user must fill in the name or the email for them to submit their name. To do that, you just add a required element here. Let's refresh. You can see that the name is Henry, the email, and then so let's assume that the author has not entered the name, and you can see please fill out this field. The required element makes sure that no field has been submitted as a null. So let's fill that again, Henry. You can see it is submitting successfully. So let's create a page where our data can be submitted temporarily. So we'll do that by creating action, and our data will be submitted to the second page that I created earlier here. And the method of success will be using the get method because we do not have a server. So the get method appends data on the URL, unlike the post. So the post method cannot work when we use it when we want to append our data on the URL. So let's try resubmitting the data again, and you can see here the name is Henry and here's the email address. Another type of button is the reset button. When you click reset, it clears your form and returns it to the default form. I think that is what we were supposed to cover here on the shortest means possible of creating a HTML form. In our next video, we'll be checking on how to add images to our web page and the types of links in our web pages. Kindly subscribe and hit on the notification button.